So I am unbelievably excited about our guest today. I want to welcome everybody to another edition of Tell Me Something Good. It's a chapter in my book. It's something I believe, especially in these crazy times, we should be focusing on the good stuff, focusing on gratitude, and allowing people the opportunity to share that, not ask, how are you? It's ask, hey, tell me something good. And so my friend Jason Caras, who we met years and years and years ago at a entrepreneurs conference in Miami,
Mhm.
and instantly knew that we met each other at the bar, that we'd be lifelong friends. And I am super excited to welcome you to Tell Me Something Good, my friend.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Steve. Nice to be here.
So the format of the show is, why don't you share with my audience a little bit about who you are, what you've been up to? I obviously know all that. I follow you a little bit on social media, as you might expect, but share kind of who you are, what you're doing, and then it's your opportunity to tell me something good.
All right, I love it. All right, cool. So, my name is Jason Caras. I live here in Tampa, Florida, with my family, the fabulous five. My fiance Duke, and her daughter Solimar, and my two other kids, Sophia and Paxton. I run a business called IT Authorities, and I have recently moved into a new home, and I just get done telling you a little bit about what's happened with my business. I can elaborate on that because that's probably something.
Please do.
Yeah.
Please do. I think what you've done and how you shared specifically about failure turns into the biggest successes. I think every entrepreneur that I know, and you and I have worked together side by side, we referred business to each other. We know it's not all sunshine and rainbows. So
Yeah, yeah. We just came out of the storm. Through almost 3 years ago, we put our egos aside and said, let's hire a high-powered CEO to take our company to the next level. And a lot of people admired that. They said, wow, I've never known any CEO to step aside and let somebody else do it. But we really thought we were making a great decision. Somebody who had grown it to the size that we had aspired to. And what I just shared with you is that didn't happen. In fact, the exact opposite happened. The company has never been in worse shape. It almost got put out of business. And if it wasn't for the resiliency of our people and just sheer will, I wouldn't be talking about having a thriving, growing company again. It's really just amazing how people stepped up, but it's also amazing how how you can tank a company in a very short period of time.
One of the things I always admired about you, and having visited your office, you were always a culture guy. You took
Yeah.
care of your people right from day one. You had built a family culture, which a lot of companies and a lot of CEOs talk about. They have a hard time actually executing that. You did that, and then you bring up this word resiliency, and let's be real. What's going on around us is a shitstorm.
Oh yeah.
You need to be resilient in times like this. This has never been done, seen or heard before. But how are you addressing that with your team and with yourself? What kind of leadership things can you share that, are good things for people to know and hear? Because I know you've been a fan of this and executed it over the years.
So it's a great question too, because at times like this will test your culture. But I remain with this opinion that you can't have a good culture if you're like the Keystone Cops in business, right? If nothing's working, no one's happy, right? And if people are making progress and progress equals happiness, then you can actually have a great environment. But if there's no progress being made and things are always not working, it's almost impossible to have a good culture. You can have free soda, you can have lunches for the employees, you can do games, you can do all the stuff, but people
Right.
still don't want to be there. And I always contend that your culture is no good as the hand grip, which is when someone walks into the front door and they grab the front door and they open it up and they walk through that threshold, the way they feel at that moment is the result of your culture.
Without a doubt. I love it.
State of your culture right there. So you can put whatever you want on your website, but if people have their head down and they're just walking in going, great, another day of total chaos, That's not a good culture. So, you know, there's some blocking and tackling from an operational perspective that has to be in place. And then, you know, obviously culture has to be on your radar. If it's not important to you and you're not focusing on it, then it's not going to expand and it's not going to grow. So if they are at the top and it's a priority because you look at it as more than just business, that you're saying, Mr. and Mrs. Employee, you are not a number. You are a walking company renting me your time for money. That is the equivalent of employment. And if you treat yourself like that, I treat you like that, then we're going to have a great partnership.
Yeah, so, you know, what's interesting is that in all of my experience working with companies that I've owned or that I've worked with, I came up with this saying, and I didn't create it, but somebody had shared it with me. The fish stinks from the head down.
Oh, yeah.
And so, you know, that's what I admired from you when we met at that Inc. magazine event. You were there to get better. You were there to network, meet people, open to new ideas. And true to form, when you said, hey, maybe we're better off with another CEO, those are risks that you have to take to get big gains. And so it takes a good amount of balls to do that. You know, certainly you put your ego aside, which was great. And then the fallback is you step right back in the driver's seat and you know how to drive the car, and you'll do that now. And I've seen that in social, and you've been very, you know, open and transparent about it. And the people who know you and love you are right back there to support you to do that. And that's the power of great relationships and great networks. And I certainly think that's something good and something you cannot fake.
No, I agree. I'm very humbled by the people that wanted to come back. I call it the end of an era, ERROR. And past employees are hitting us up and asking, hey, you know, I'd love, now that you're back, I'd love to come back. They're hearing that the culture has been restored. It didn't happen overnight, honestly, and it's not even where I want it to be yet, but it is on its way. The momentum, the flywheel has got that momentum, and it's no longer just the executive team pushing culture, it's everybody, and that's when culture becomes something formidable, because it's not just the top. It has to go throughout the entire organization.
And I think that's incredibly well said. It really is. And while we're in the midst of one of the craziest times ever, which we know, it's still stay the course, right?
You know, and this is unprecedented. Nobody can plan for this. You know, we're a technology company, so we're in the business of putting people in the cloud so that they can withstand this. And I was just sitting in a CEO council, which you did some public speaking at. You did a great job, by the way.
Thank you.
And one of the
fun. That was a great group. That's a good group.
They were 230 high-powered CEOs. You know?
Good.
So I was with about 6 or 7 of them in our little round table, and we were talking about like how ready we are and all this stuff, and talking about what percentage of our employees are home. Right now, 99% of my employees are working from home, because this is the business we're in. You know, take your laptop, take your cell phone, and you're attached to our phone system and computer system and tickets. You can work anywhere. So something good is, all right, we were able to implement disaster recovery on a scale that no one could have seen coming. And now we're helping our customers do that, and we're helping them do that rapidly. But I've never seen anything like this. This is absolute insane. But we will, you know what? Here's something else good. This too shall pass.
Yes, sir. Love it. I love it. I am so excited to spend the time with you. When things resume, I'll be back in Tampa, and I want to come have dinner with you and your lady and continue the dialogue. But thank you so much for sharing your time, your knowledge. You're one of my favorite entrepreneurs. You always have been. And I wish you only the best.
Thank you so much.
Stay on the ball, my friend.
Love you, buddy. Thank you.
Okay, man. Be good.
All right. Take care.